Can this box see me? Box also hear me? I just see. I know that the video box does, but what about this one? Oh, so it does. Good. So it seems like now every time I start up OBS and I start streaming, I always have to retype my Steam key. Apparently, the Steam key that it always saves doesn't work. There's always an error. So, is this OBS downloading slobs really have messed up? Not just slobs, but also OBS itself, even though I installed it. So, I wonder what is the factor. Also, these lights are good. All right. Yeah, I'm just making sure. In the meantime, everything's here. But anyway, I can actually play this. I can play radio. Gotta make sure that the volume's good. And so far the mic is great. I do wonder. Let me oh, that doesn't do anything drastic. Yeah, it doesn't do anything drastic. I could just talk normally without much issues. Well, I gotta lower this end. Testing it. And now I got really uppity when testing out every single thing, just to make sure that any issues I have further, because what is it? It's already been days now I've been doing this. Wanted to just make sure everything goes smoothly, but I figured that's just a regular thing. And just focusing on me speaking in the content, spend time here, just myself and also others, just to have a good enjoying time. So not really the whole time just testing, but mainly reading and just talking to myself. Other than that, I should test further. I figured like 9:30. Gotta have it. Yeah, I remember this article. I only read briefly, but still not much. I spent most of the time just discussing, reading. But yeah, it's one of the most important things about it because of the creation engine. You know, the creation engine is just a very old engine that's been modified since what, Morrowind? Because they used Creative Engine before Oblivion for some projects and stuff, but I'm not sure if it's just Morrowind. Anywho, don't want to research that because I, as I said, going to just finish this freaking game engine wiki. Because I had to read it under a microscope, then I had to briefly read it. That's pretty much it. But yeah, anywho, I gotta reread this end again. So I should just start at the beginning. Not from here, but to the purpose. The contents 1, 6, 7, 8. Glance on that. The purpose, let me just read normally. Let me also see if the mic actually picks up. Okay, that's good. Alrighty. Mike, I trust you and not to damage my ears. This one. Purpose. In many cases, game engines provide a suite of visual development tools in addition to reusable software components. These tools are generally provided in an integrated development environment to enable simplified, rapid development of games in a data-driven manner. Game engines developed attempt to pre-invent the wheel by developing robust software suites which include many elements a game developer may need to build a game. Most game engines suit provided that ease development, such as graphics, sound, physics, and artificial intelligence (AI) functions. I just keep on getting suits. There's a suit. Okay. These game engines are sometimes called middleware because, as with the business sense of the term, they provide a flexible and reusable software platform which provides all the core functionality needed. Right out of the box, develop a game application while reducing costs, complexities, and time to market. It's all critical. Picture of a monkey. Yeah, that's J Monkey. Okay. All critical factors in the highly competitive video game industry as of 2001, Game Royal, no picture, Game Monkey Engine, picture, and renderware are widely used middleware programs of this type. Yeah, the music actually got me a god to remind me of the original Minecraft OSTs. Anyway, like other types of middleware, game engines usually provide platform abstraction, allowing the same game to run on various platforms, including game consoles and personal computers, with few, if any, changes made to a game's source code. Often, programmers design game engines with component-based architecture that allows specific systems in the engine to be replaced or extended with more specialized and more expensive game middleware components. Some game engines comprise a series of loosely connected game middleware components that can be selectively combined to create a custom engine instead of a more commonly approach of extending and customizing a flexible integrated product. However, achieve extensibility. That's the first time I hear it. Extensibility is a software engineering and a system design principle that provides the future growth. Alright. Extensibility remains a high priority for game engines due to the wide variety of use for which they are applied. Despite the specificality of the name game engines, end users often repurpose game engines for other kinds of interactive applications with real-time graphical requirements, such as marketing demos, architecture visualizations. Okay, got it. Architecture visualizations, training simulators, and modeling environments. Some game engines only provide real-time 3D render capabilities instead of the wide range of functionality needed by games. These engines rely upon the game developer to implement the rest of the functionality or to assemble it from other game middleware components. These types of engines are generally referred to as a graphics engine, rendering engine, and 3D engine. Instead of a more encompassing term game engine, the terminology is inconsistent use as many full-functioning 3D game engines are referred to by. Material need to tag may be use weasel words or too vague abstractions, July 22. Okay, sure. Simply as game engines, examples of graphics engines includes Crystal Space, Genesis 3D, Ehrlich, I'm pronouncing it right. Org, Realm Forge, True Vision 3D, and Vision Engine. Modern, when game or graphics engines generally provide a scene traf, a object-oriented representation of the 3D game engine, which often simplifies game design and can be used for most efficient rendering of vast visual worlds. Modern, when time period mentioned here, the tag is ambiguous. These are also comments under this. surprised I'm starting to see this now, but I figure it's one person who actually goes back to editing this wiki and also adding more info. So maybe this also related to the references. Let's see. An object-oriented representation of a 3D game world, which often simplifies game design and can be used for more efficient rendering of vast virtual worlds. As technology ages, the components of the engine may become outdated or insufficient for the requirements of a given project, since the complexity of programming and entirely new engine may result in unwanted delays or necessitate that a project restart from the beginning. An engine development team may elect to update their existing engines with newer functionality or components. Components, such as a framework, is composed of a multitude of very different components. Maybe it's because I'm reading a bit too fast, or I'm also making sure the top screen's good. Wait, let me actually get closer to this mic. Hello. This is my voice. Can you hear my voice? I wonder if I should get... I know when it comes to SMR, the biggest thing a lot of people are doing, besides making their own content while in the SMR format, is having the ones that actually have ears, so you could actually pick apart the audience's level of noise. What I do wonder is that, what is it? Well, really, it's more like what I'm thinking about is just a attachment where you could add any microphone, those ear components, but no, I don't think that exists yet. And if not, it's not that widely known. I guess it's just because it's just too expensive. Okay. I'm also just playing around with this. Something's actually missing. It's all the time. Ooh. Glad I hear my thump. That thump, it's just my finger trying to touch your ear. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe you don't have ears. Whatever. So this is going to components. Such a framework is composed of a multitude of very different components. The main game program. The actual game logic has been implemented by some algorithms. It is distinct from any rendering engine. The rendering engine generates animated 2D or 3D graphics by any number of methods. Rasterization, ray tracing, etc. Rasterization. Restoration. Yeah, rasterization. Wow. You know what? Let me see if there's actual pronunciation for this. Shit. No. Don't see this. It's an incorporate. The fish is incorporate. Don't see this. That's a key. Yeah, there's no fish. Why? Why is there no animals here? But restoration will roll out animals being coded into an 8-bit format and graphed. Wait a second. No. Yeah, restoration. It said it was wrong, but covered from wiki. Okay, so is anything? No, still no. Okay. Am I going on the quest to try to figure out how this is pronounced? No, I don't. The wiki dictionary. Needs a full wiki. Raster. Well, I already know raster. Yeah, it already has raster. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna go on too much, so I'm just gonna say rasterization. Because I figured even other people have different ways to say it. So we're back to here, restoration, ray tracing, etc. So rasterization is a 8-bit fish, ray tracing is a bubblegum. Instead of being programmed and compiled to be executed on a CPU or GPU directly, most often rendering engines are built upon one or multiple rendering application program interfaces, APIs, such as Direct 3D, OpenGL, or Vulkan, which provide a soft abstraction of the graphics processing unit, GPU. Low-level libraries such as DirectX, Simple Direct Media Layer (SDL), and GLFW are also commonly used in games as they provide platform-independent access to the windowing system and allow the application to create a surface on a computer screen where the graphics will be displayed, and is commonly referred to as graphical context creation. Yeah, something here beside here. I can't read it much. So, let's see. Yeah, it's let me move the lake. It's okay. Yeah, it's in here. I can't really read here. Right there. Let me just go back to my normal work stuff and let me read it. Which provided by a software application of the graphics processing unit GPU. Got that. Okay. Let's just start back to application programming interfaces, APIs such as Direct 3D, OpenGL, and Vulkan, which provide a software abstraction of the graphics processing unit GPU. Low-level libraries such as DirectX, Simple Direct Media Layer (SDL), and GLFW are also commonly used in games as they provide platform-independent access to the windowing system and allowing the application to allocate a surface on a computer screen where the graphics will be displayed. This is commonly referred to as the graphical context creation. These libraries usually also provide access to other computer hardware such as input devices, mouse, keyboard, and joystick, network cards, and sound cards. For hardware accelerated 3D graphics, software renders have been used. Software rendering is still used in some modeling tools or for still rendering images when visual accuracy is valued over more real-time performances, frames per second, or when the computer hardware does not meet needs such as a shader support. With the advent of hardware accelerated physics processing, various physics APIs such as POW and the physics extensions of the Collada became available to provide a software abstraction of the physics processing unit of different middleware providers and console platforms. Game engines can be written in any programming language like C++, C, or Java, though each language is structurally different and may provide different levels of access to specific functions. Often a scripting language like JavaScript or /ECMA script gets added as the second layer to speed up the development. I'm good. Mike, good. Going back to Wiki Auto Engine. The Auto Engine is the component which consists of algorithms related to loading, modifying, and output of sound through the client speaker system. At a minimum, it must be able to load, decompress, and play sound files. More advanced audio engines can calculate and produce such things as Doppler effects, echoes, pitch amplitude adjustments, here, oscillation, etc. Pitch/amplitude adjustments, oscillation, etc. It can perform calculations on the CPU or on a dedicated ASIC abstraction. APIs such as OpenGL, STL Audio, X Audio 2, Web Audio, etc. are available. Physics engine. The physics engine is responsible for simulating the laws of physics realistically with the application. Specifically, it provides a set of functions for simulating physics forces and collisions. It's like collisions. Forces and collisions acting on the various objects within the game at runtime. Artificial intelligence. The AI is usually outsourced from the main game program into a special module to be designed and written by software engineers with specialized knowledge. Most games will implement very different AI systems, and thus AI is considered to be specific to a particular game for which it is created. Many modern game engines come packaged with search algorithms such as A-star and subroutines for baking level geometry into Nabamesh, which can help speed up the process of scripting AI behavior. Is the lighting go? Because under the Joy-Cam client, picture is having a brightness issue rather than image here. I'm gonna rate this midway. Can I spot it in my peripheral vision? Then I'm gonna look at my other screen to see what's up. But going to history. Before game engines, games were typically written in singular entities. A game for the Atari 2600. Okay, yeah, there's brightness here. Yeah, there's also a change here too. Okay, so let me lower the lighting. You guys can see. Actually, now you guys can see my bottom. Yeah. Come on, let's get that done. Okay. Also, just that. Hunky and dopery. I still got good lighting. I kicked the piano. Well, I pushed into the piano. Piano's good though. Anyway, let's read under here. I'll do the same thing we did before. For example, had to be designed from the bottom up to make optimal use of this display hardware. Okay, I'll do that again. However, I'm going to flip this screen. Look at this image. This core display routine is today called the kernel by retro developers. Other platforms had more leeway, but even when the display was not a concern, memory constraints usually sabotage. Weird. Okay, I still have 5 minutes, so that'll be another thing I'll test out, and I hope everything goes smoothly. But even when the display was not a concern, memory constraints usually sabotage attempts to create the data-heavy design that an engine needs, even on more accommodating platforms. Very little could be reused between games. The rapid advance of arcade hardware, which was the leading edge of the market at the time, meant that most of the code would have to be thrown out afterwards anyway, as later generations games would use completely different game designs that took advantage of extra resources. The most game designs through the 1980s was designed through a hard-coded rule set with a small number of levels and graphics data. Since the golden age of arcade video games, it became common for video game companies to develop in-house game engines to use with first-party software. Yeah, there's no page. Oh well. While third-party game engines were not common upon until the rise of 3D computer graphics in the 1990s, there were several 2D game creation systems produced in the 1980s for independent video game development. These include Pinball Construction Set, 1983, ASCII's, so ASIL's Wargs Game Construction Kit, 1983, Thunder Forge Construction, 1984, Adventure Construction Set, 1984, Gary's Kitchen Construction Set Game Maker, 1985, War Game Construction Set, 1986, Shoot 'em Up Construction Kit, that's Kit, 1987, Arcade Game Construction Kit, 1988, and most popular ASIL's RPG Maker engines from 1998 onwards. Cook and Play, 1994, and another legacy offering that's still available. Yeah, there was just a bug. The term game engine arose in the mid-90s. The term game engine arose in the mid-1990s, especially in connection with 3D games such as first-person shooters, FPSs, see also first-person shooter engine, Such was the popularity of id Software, Doom, and Quake games that, rather than work from scratch, other developers licensed the core portions of the software and designed their own graphics, characters, weapons, and levels. The game content or game assets, separation of game-specific rules and data for basic concepts like collision detection, and game entity meant that teams could grow and specialize. Later games such as id Software Quake 3 Arena and Epic's games 1998 Unreal was designed with this approach in mind. With the engine and content developed separately, practice of licensing such technology has provided to be a useful auxiliary revenue stream for some game developers, as one license for a high-end commercial game engine can range from USD $10,000 to millions of dollars. The number of licensees can reach several dozen companies, as seen with the Unreal Engine. At the very least, reusable engines make developing game sequels faster and easier, which is a valuable advantage in the competitive video game industry. While there was a strong rivalry between Epic and id around 2000, since then, Epic's Unreal Engine has been far more popular than id Tech 4 and its successor id Tech 5. 7. Let's reference here. That's important to reference. Okay, so first thing first is I'm gonna check the stream, and should I get my trusty old volume? Trusty old earbud volume. That just plays back. Yeah, it just plays back. So I can just be here. Let's see. Ich bin hear myself clearly. Oh shoot, I can hear myself clearly. That's good. Well, this mic is a bit strange. Oh, let me actually see that. I can do my ASMR with just touchy mic thing. Okay, so me just gently just scratching it doesn't really do anything. Gently just. But when it came to tapping, likely hear something. Huh. Okay, because that's the thing. I have to look at. I have to consider the thing to consider. Anyway, let me turn this down. Let me go with OBS. And oh shoot, I am a bit. I gotta hydrate. Alright. Okay. Volume's good. I could turn up a bit more. Okay. Good. Raise the grain. Or no, it's pretty low. No, it's pretty good. Okay, example. Later games such as id Software's Quake 3 Arena. Okay. It's fine. But I am a bit worried. Well, actually, no. I already know what to do. Take out my headsets, play the stream in this end, and then see if I can also hear the music in the background. Take out my headsets, play the stream in this end, and then see if I can also hear the music in the background. Take out my headsets, play. Everything's going good. And even the mic can pick up things far away, even though it's not directly in any sort of direction. So, yeah. So I don't have to worry about the whole sound thing like that. And, it being a huge trouble just because what? Voltage, interference when it comes to the voltage, because of having different chips connected something. Yeah, it's so loud. Oh yeah, also another thing I also fixed up today, because I actually have time on the weekend, is just adding thermal paste under the CPU on the laptop. And oh my god, when I had to look at the CPU and actually clean up the old residue they left, it was a bar under the copper. You saw the bar, and the reason why is because you still have one solid bar that hasn't touched the CPU or any closed components nearby it, so like the outer layer and stuff like that, because it's all melted away and stuff like that. But yeah, the one end where it doesn't touch anything at all, there, it's still there, so it looks like you didn't have like one person like squirting on them. It was just had a piece of bar and let it melt like a piece of chocolate in a marshmallow cracker marshmallow. And yeah, no wonder why laptop was also having some issues when it came to the docking station, because of interference between a CPU and GPU that are not native to each other, because different brands and all that jazz. So yeah, that's actually something I was able to solve. Yeah, I was able to not worry about the laptop much today, and figured not much later, because what is it? I also have to not worry about components burning up and stuff like that, because I'm starting to use a lot of CPU. Started actually rendering this every day, and it's not used to it, so I didn't kind of measure it. Past experiences, just this experience. But yeah, now That's not much issue. I also under throttle the CPU usage and also must hit film and OBS. I also tinker with some settings to not overbearing that. And yeah, everything is good. And because of that, there's a chance that that's the reason I'm talking. It's a frustrating experience that I feel pretty rewarded because I see many people who have docking station setups and use it like a search different setup. There's really not much. And also when it comes to the screens and stuff that I have it specifically designed for my own liking, which yeah, no. I don't see at all any setups that are in my ballpark that I made, which would be good. But anywho, there's the good, there's the bad. I think I'm in it clear now, so I'm enjoying goodness. Now what I gotta do is actually spend my time just doing what I want instead of what comes up. It's time. So, what is it? Yeah, we did talk about id Software, Doom, and Quake. We went there. Yeah, we went to up the Unreal. It's a especially with how so many things use Unreal and Unity for the past like years, which is great. Because now people can actually design their own games along with other projects. Now we're going back to reading this. Let's take a detour to this image. I want to pop it up, see how it is. Okay, now it doesn't give you a description here, but it does give a final title here. Quick, Family Tree 2 Simplified.svg. It took 2 all the way down here to the Rage engine, and they named the game called just Rage, so people would actually know what the Rage engine is. And what was it with Rage? It was mainly because just to show the engine and how it is. They spent a good amount of time doing that versus making an entertaining game. And the closest thing they did was try to make an entertaining game for everybody, but it was not specialized, and it felt pretty bland because you can't really rely on one particular aspect of the game. The shooting, the driving, the movement. As well as the aim down sights is just really jarring compared to like what BF3 and even what was it? Yeah, even the first Black Ops. Because at least with the Black Ops game it had some aim down sights did show some weapons having some recoil and stuff like that. But so yeah, this is just the whole history. But as importance of game engines, it is important to the FPS genre. But I believe it also came with how different gaming companies also worked upon it, because that was a big thing with id Software, also just licensing their engine and such. I mean, that's how they got afloat with their own independence when they were not making Doom. Actually, no, Duke Nukem and Doom mods. That's how they were able to get through the years, just selling their game engine along with some services and stuff until they got bought by Bethesda. Then you also have 2 creators going their own way, and one of them creating Oculus. so we're going to here. Okay, I see the light thing. Light thing. When that just happened, my picture on your Twitch has network error. It's not the lights, it's the camera image. But I think it's adjusting. So that happens, most likely some of the settings defaulted back to its original settings, which is like autofocus, auto, brightness, all of that. Which I do not like. Let me see if I can actually change this quickly. Pop-up window, nope. Yep. Droid Cam X Pro control features. No, fam. I'm going to filters. I'm going to add filters. I actually modified filters, which adding I can do later, and I can modify and so much just do. Only have one filter and I already edited it, so the thing I could do is the brightness is still here, and then when I move my head, it stops. Yeah, very well. Oh shoot, I actually forgot where it was. Dim. Okay, now okay, enough gaggling. Modern game engines are some of the most complex applications written, often featuring dozens of finely tuned systems interacting to ensure a precisely controlled user experience. The continued evolution of games engines have created a strong separation between rendering, scripting, artwork, and level design. It is now common, for example, for a typical game development team to have several times as many artists as actual programmers. First-person shooter games remain the predominant users of third-party game engines, but they are now being used in other genres. For example, the role-playing video game The Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind and the MMORPG Dark Age of Camelot are based on the Game Bro engine, and the MMORPG Lineage 2 is based on the Unreal Engine. Game engines are used for games originally developed for home consoles as well. For example, the Renderware engine is used in the Grand Theft Auto and Burnout franchises. Threading is taking on more importance due to modern multi-core systems, e.g. Cell, and increased demands in realism. Typically, threads involve rendering, streaming, audio, and physics. Racing games have typically been in the forefront of threading, with the physics game engine running in a separate thread long before other core. Let's stretch this out. So you can see the map. Oh shoot, it's 4.5. Time must go fast. Typical threads involve rendering, streaming, audio, and physics. Racing games have typically been in the forefront of threading, with a physics engine running a separate thread long before other core subsystems were moved, partly because rendering and related tasks needing updating at only 30 through 60 Hz. For example, on PlayStation 3, physics ran in Need for Speed at 100 Hz versus Forza Mortis 2 at 360 Hz. Although the term was first used in the 90s, there is a few early systems in the 1980s that are also considered to be game engines, such as Sierra's Adventure Game Interpreter (AGI) and SCI systems. LucasArts' Skilm system and incentive. So that's what it is. and Incentive Software's FreeScape engine in 1986. Unlike most modern game engines, these game engines were never used in any third-party products except for the SCUM system, which was licensed to and used by Humongous Entertainment. So SCUM, the LucasArts thing. Script creation utility for Manic Mansion. SCUM is a video game engine developed at Lucasfilm Games, later renamed LucasArts. So yeah, as you say, Manic Mansion. Because when it came to click and adventure games, they usually will just feature one scene, one level. So when it came to the gaming environment stuff, you could easily backtrack it, and also just the artist team just working on one mansion and one level. Which, I mean, it's very interesting because this goes back to the realm of, what is it, old school Resident Evil games, like the first one, where it took place in one mansion, because in part of the level design, it was based on point and click adventure games. And yeah, that genre was pretty influential because, what was it? It was a very popular thing, toe-to-toe to FPSs, but with a larger demographic audience. That's hearsay or something like that, because I don't know the data on my head. But yeah, it shows the influence that old Lucas Click Boy adventures like Escape from Monkey Island might have inspired the Resident Evil team to create the first Resident Evil in the mansion. But yeah, that's SCUM. Mem is just Manic Mansion. Alrighty. As game engine technology matures and become more user-friendly, the application of game engines has broadened in scope. They are now being used for serious games, visualization, training, medical, and military simulation applications, with the CryEngine being one example. To facilitate this accessibility, new hardware platforms are now being targeted by game engines, including mobile phones, e.g. Android phones, iPhones, and web browsings, e.g. WebGL, Shockwave, Flash, Trinity's Web Vision, Silverlight, Unity Web Player, O3D, and Pure DHTML. DHTML. It's Pure, apparently. I wonder where they actually put that. I don't know much about DHTML. It's right here, something like that. Dynamic. It's a collection of technologies used together to create interactive anime websites by using a combination of a static makeup language and clients. Yeah. Basic stuff. But here, never heard that before. Oh well. Additionally, more game engines are being built upon higher level languages such as Java and C#/.NET, e.g. TwerkX and Visual 3D.NET, Python, Panda 3D, or Lua script, LeadWorks. As most 3D rich games are now mostly GPU limited, i.e. limited by the power of the graphics card, the potential slowdown due to translation over heads of higher level languages become negligible. Yeah. The sticky tongue still gets me. So, overheads of higher level languages become negligible, while the productivity gains offered by these languages work to a game engine developer's benefit. These recent trends are being propelled by companies such as Microsoft to support indie game development. Microsoft developed XNA as the SDK of choice for all video games released on Xbox and related products. This includes the Xbox Live Indie Games channel designed specifically for smaller developers who don't have the extensive resources necessary to box games for sale on retail shelves. It has become easier and cheaper than ever to develop game engines for platforms that support managed frameworks. Game engines as an industry. Producers of game engines decide how they allow users to utilize their products, such as a gaming in an industry. So are the engines they are built off. The major game engines coming at varying prices, whether it be in the form of subscription fees or licensing payments. Unreal Engine 4, one of the major game engines, and used to create several notable games such as Fortnite, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, and Life is Strange 2, because Life is Strange series is a high tier game that requires an RTX 3080 two RTXs, and because it's so high power. Adopted a free-to-use structure with royalty of all game sales using this engine, although the differences among the different game engines blur as they are built upon during the game creation process. Different developing games may either be too used to a system to change, or abstraction by the huge benefit of such engines regarding paywalls. Another game engine currently bringing a notable income in the Unity engine is the Unity engine. Utilizing a similar monetization model to the Unreal Engine, this engine is behind games such as Rust, Subnautica, and Life is Strange Before the Storm. Okay, dokie. So we're near the end. So here we go. Oh shoot. No, only half a minute. Okay. Fast reading time. Game middleware. In the broader sense of the term, game engines themselves can be described as a middleware in the context of video games. However, in the term middleware is often used to refer to subsystems of functionality within a game engine. Some game middleware does only one thing, but does it more convincingly or more efficient than generally purpose middleware. For example, SpeedTree was used to render the realistic trees and vegetation in the role-playing video game The Elder Scrolls IV: Oblivion. And Fork Pinnacle was used to simulate and render real-time particle systems, visual effects, or particle effects in the Sid Meier's Civilization V. The four most widely used middleware packages that provide subsystems of functionality include RAD Game Tools, Bink, Firelight, FMOD, Havoc, and Scaleform, GFX. RAD Game Tools develops Bink for basic video rendering, along with the Miles Audio, not Miles Morales, and Granny 3D. Granny 3D rendering. Okay, whatever. I clicked the wrong button because damn it. Okay. Firelight FMOD is a low-cost, robust audio library and Flash UI, and high-quality video playback and input method editor IME add-on for the in-game agent chat support. Other middleware is used for performance optimization. For example, SimpleGone helps to optimize and generate level of detail meshes, and Umbra adds occlusion, culling optimizations to 3D graphics. Some middleware contains full source code, others just provide an API reference for a compiled binary library. Some middleware programs can be licensed either way, usually for a high fee for full source code. First-person shooter engines. A subset of game engines are 3D first-person shooter FPSs game engines. Groundbreaking development in terms of visual quality is done in order to get FPS games to its current standard. The level of visual details emphasized in these games have become increasingly precise, something that engines focus on a flight and driving simulators and real-time strategy RTSs games don't contain. The development of the FPS graphics engines that appear in games can be categorized by steady increased technologies, with some breakthroughs, attempts, and defining distinct generations lead to arbitrary choices. Arbitrary. I keep messing this one. Arbitrary choices of what constitutes a highly modified version of an old engine and what is a brand new engine. The classification is complicated as game engines blend old and new technologies. Features that were considered advanced in a new game 1 year became the expected standard the next year. Games with a mix of older generation and newer feature are the norms. So games with a mix of older generation and newer feature are the norm. I think this is supposed to be generations and newer features. So yeah, it doesn't really roll off the tongue. I had a hard time because I couldn't really roll off the tongue much, but and that's also another reason why a person who was editing and making comments was still looking at this. Alright, besides point, there's also with the game physics, let's game engines, 3D computers, and then game middleware and authority system. So yeah, a while back I actually looked at this thing and I browsed a little bit on it to see if this is interesting, so I figured I'd just go through here. This is a list of all the game engines. Game engines are tools available for game designers to code and plan out game quickly and easily without building one from the ground up. So the ones that are used as third parties, you get 4E, Alamo, Manora, Blend, Ford Web, Blender, Buildbox, and all these. Cube, Ego, the Fox engine. Yeah, it's not the Fox Hound, because Konami is pretty prickly with who can use their own works and stuff like that. Which stinks because I really like the game engines stuff. I was really excited for so many games to be like that, but no, we're just there for MGS5. There's also zombies, but no, that's just pathetic. And Source. Well, with Source 2, it's also made for C++. So, you guys, that's another reason why you guys probably have a hard on when it comes to Steam applications. And all these. That's pretty much it. But yeah, anyway, input method editor. Yeah. Input is an operating system component or program that enables users to generate characters not natively available on their input devices by using sequences of characters that are not natively available on their input devices. Using an input method is unnecessary. Usually unnecessary for languages that have, when it comes to characters that are not under the keyboard. So when it came to the Romanization keyboard, so Cyrillic Chinese characters, recognize that because that's part of middleware. Working with middleware, never work with other things. So that's pretty much it. I finally went through the wiki. I didn't go through this here and stuff, and I'm surprised they didn't mention much of the creation engine itself. They referred to it, but they didn't mention it by word. Anyway, that's pretty much my stream. That is my TED Talk. Besides that, I'll be signing out and see if I can actually quit out of this.